Alrighty folks, want to welcome you back to another video from Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. So for this one, starting out the whole new year 2013, started out last couple years doing basic hardware, software, security, all those type of videos out there. This year I wanted to go a lot more in depth. And this year I'm going to call it In the Rabbit Hole. Going down the rabbit hole. I know there's a lot of bad terms for that. There's a lot of alternate meanings for that. But down the rabbit hole. This is a term that I like to use, that I've used for a long time. Kind of was an Alice in Wonderland type of theme. You know, she goes down the rabbit hole and you find the whole new road. Find that a lot with tech. You might think you understand a computer. You might understand how it works. You might understand servers. You might understand a lot of things. And then you learn one little key thing, and it's a whole nother world. It's a whole nother dimension of stuff that you're going to learn from that. To me, that's the rabbit hole. One of the things I brought up, multiple port NICs, different LAN settings, different things that you can do with the multiple port NIC, multiple NICs that really can broaden how you can set up your environment. There's a lot of things that are still kind of in play that aren't really used in the modern technology. Token rings, peer-to-peer networks, all of these type of things that you can still do with a modern computer. It's just not the modern way of doing it. Doesn't mean you can't use it. When you get into servers and you get into a lot of those things, you can have peer-to-peer connections. You can have private connections. So this is the rabbit hole. Once you go down that hole, you find there's a whole nother world in there that really is quite interesting to you. So I wanted to do a video on what the rabbit hole actually means, what the terminology means. And the big thing with rabbit holes is you better be ready to do a lot of homework, a lot of research. Because here's the funny thing about the rabbit hole. There's not a lot of information out there on it. Because people go in and set things up the way they want to set it up for what they specifically need it to be set up for. If you want to go in there and find out, oh geez, I found out I can put a second NIC card in here and I can add a whole nother network. What do I want to do? Unless you pretty much know where you want to go with that second NIC, you're going to have a lot of issues. You're going to have a lot of questions that come up that you're going to need to figure out. So this is really the interesting part. I will have lots and lots of videos coming out probably on this. I hope to have enough to fill out the year. If not, then I'll change to another subject. But for this one, of course, it's going to be more kind of server related type of things. It's going to be Hyper-V. It's going to be NIC. How many networks? Static IP, physical IP, virtualized computers, virtualized servers. What is considered a server is really one of those classifications that I've brought up quite a few videos on. There's 2 or 3 already. Again, there's going to be more of that. Because now it's not server as in server operating system, or it's a server running Windows 10 or Windows 11 or running Linux or Unix or whatever other Ubuntu or whatever other operating systems are out there. There are a lot more things out there that are available on a Windows 10 platform that people probably don't realize. It doesn't need to be running server software to be running a server. Again, this is the rabbit hole. There's going to be a different video on that. But I wanted to elaborate that and express that point. Your basic computer does not have to have server on it. You can actually have a gaming PC for gaming, run a virtual server on there, run multiple servers on there, run a sandbox server on there that can do anything you want it to do, web hosting, whatever you want. There's a lot of variables that come into that point at that point. So I'll have a lot of videos on that. A lot of these have all been mentioned, brought up, explained in other videos to get you to this point. Once you start seeing something or you hear of something that I mentioned and you do your homework, you might find more things related to that I did not cover. Because again, this is what I consider a rabbit hole, black hole. You know, you get in there and there's a lot of things in there. I would say a rabbit hole would be dark web. You will hear that term a lot. The dark web, the dark web, the dark web. And most people don't know what that is, what that really is. I believe I've elaborated on it on some of my networking videos. But this is where a lot of that kind of comes into play. There's a lot of things out there you can do that really aren't marketed and aren't pitched or sold to you that you can do on a computer that a lot of people probably don't realize. So again, I just wanted to kind of do a short video because you're going to hear this term probably in all the videos that I'm doing this year is the rabbit hole. And it's not a dirty term. I want to make sure everybody understands that it's not in that context. This is, you're going into a subject where it can get very deep. You can do a lot of things. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of research that may need to be done. You may decide, well, I don't quite like it this way. I want to set it up a little differently. I want it to do certain things. You're going to have to do your homework. You're going to have to do your research. You're going to have to figure it out. A lot of it might be trial and error. But want people to realize this because the way technology is now, in the old days, I would not really have thought about doing a lot of these things that people are doing now because the tech wasn't really there. It wasn't fast enough. It wasn't reliable enough for you to be doing this. This is all new generation tech that is making these things more possible or more able and to function better. So I wanted to do these videos because now it's become more platform ready, more stable. We had a lot of innovation, a lot of tech speeds increase. Internet speed has increased. In the old days, you wouldn't be doing this on a dial-up. On a T1, you'd need a T1. And even those were considered today to be somewhat slow. So now, in a home environment, you may want to do some of these things. You may already have certain things like a media center set up, other things that are systems that are on all the time that you don't realize you can actually do some of these things to it and get more bang out of what that appliance is doing. It may not be one of those things that you've actually thought of doing. Maybe you did not realize that device would be capable of doing it. So I will have these videos. Hopefully it's not too complicated for a lot of people. most of it, I would say, is good knowledge to know, because it's not necessarily you're using this tech, but this is the way the world is, and this is how things are set up, and this is how things are run. When you go on the internet, I've talked about, again, servers, cloud servers, virtual servers, all these type of things that you are connecting to. This will give you a little bit of in-depth information on what I'm actually talking about. So you actually know when you go on the internet what you're actually attaching to, how you're attached, where, well, I can't even tell you where you're attached nowadays. Servers are all over the world. They have primary, secondaries, and third servers. One fails, it rolls over to another one. This is all the rabbit hole. Can you imagine in the old days, like when I started talking about, man, I'm going to set up a web server at my house, but man, I better have a secondary and a third in case the first two fail, that my stuff stays up. Now you have all this cloud servers that are spread out over multiple servers. You could lose 2 or 3 whole servers, whole server rooms, whole server centers, whole, and your information is still there. This is the rabbit hole. This is where all the technology is gone. That I've done videos this year, the then, now, showing memory, showing hard drives, showing motherboards, showing add-on cards, all these things, servers, cases, all these things that I've shown you are connected due to this. Because now you can see where we were. I have my first computer I bought, when I took it apart, dismantled it, showed you all what was in there. So you know what a 20-year-old computer looked like compared to what you're getting today. That's the then, this is the now. So, wanted to go through and do this. All right, I'm going to wrap this one up, and then I will get going on the next videos. Thank you.